This session will have a keynote on the topic No Lockdown on Learning, Unlocking the True Purpose of Virtual Learning Environment. We have with us Mr. Raghav Poddar, Chairman Poddar Education, an education conglomerate that was established in 1957 and has schools all across India. Raghav Poddar is a path-breaking educationist and a thought leader on constructing optimal learning environments. Having studied in education systems of Finland, Singapore, the UK, and Australia, he has been vested heavily into upgrading the quality of schooling in India. His contribution to the field of education and society is commendable, and he has been bestowed with many awards for his contributions in the field of education and nation building. His awards includes the Bhaskar Pride of India Award and the Glory of India Award by the Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand in 2016. Mr. Poddar, all yours.
Namaste to everyone and good afternoon. Today I'm going to be talking to you about no lockdown on learning, unlocking the true purpose of virtual learning environments. Now, the education system of the entire world, the way education is delivered to students is at the cusp of a dimensional shift. The way curriculum was transacted up until now has been disrupted by this pandemic, and we can ensure it's for the better. The way this pandemic has hit us, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that digital transformation has changed the way, transformed the way that education is delivered in classrooms across the world. More importantly, though, is the purpose aligned with the way these trends are emerging? In this hot pursuit of the latest in virtual learning environments or AR, VR, AI, other digital transformations, have we missed the woods for the trees? Now, it's not a question of if, but when. At least some of these technologies will become mainstream in schooling across the world. And even after we emerge from this pandemic, there is going to be the new normal of blended learning or hybrid or digital learning, some physical and some digital. But the fundamental question still lies, is it, are we getting our children ready with the 21st century skills that they're going to need? Or are we just finding fancier ways of lesson delivery through e-pedagogues? There is no better time than a crisis that forces us to grow and wakes us up from the slumber of rudimentary pedagogy. It's said that never waste a good crisis. We can ill afford another education system that prepares students in and tests students for skills that they won't even require in their 21st century lives. This is the time of transition, where the trends are still forming, where they're still evolving. And it is incumbent upon us, especially the education thought leaders, the influencers. They have to shoulder this responsibility to steer the evolution of education in the direction which will truly benefit our students the most. Our posterity is going to look back at this time as one of those defining moments that comes once in centuries, and either thank us for the direction in which we took this evolution of education, or curse us for not rising up to the occasion when we had the opportunity. Now, we're preparing children for jobs that don't exist yet. They say that 2/3 of the jobs are going to be different by the time our children in schools are going to graduate and start their adult lives. So we're preparing children for jobs that don't exist yet. They're going to be solving problems that we don't even know are problems yet by using technologies that haven't even been invented yet. The uncertainty is fascinating. Now, my appeal to all educators and even parents here is that rather than trying to pin down life into these pigeonholes or boxes of certainty, learn to embrace uncertainty. That's where the beauty of life lies. Now, educators as a breed, if I may say that, love certainty. They love to plan ahead. And it's good to be good planning ahead and to organize yourself and all that. I was talking to this one top educationist, and he told me, Raghav, in August 2022, I can already tell you what I've got planned for my students. Now, all the plans we all had as educators have all been washed away by this COVID crisis. This is the time to truly espouse, live, breathe, imbibe in our students those 21st century skills that we once sagaciously foretold on the ramparts of the biggest, fanciest education conclaves of the world. And what are those 21st century skills? The ability to cope with limited resources, the ability to be agile, flexible, adaptable, the ability to be resilient, the skill of crisis management, to be a self-reliant, independent learner, or become a critical thinker, problem solver. Now, which of these skills do our tests and exams measure? Now, what are the latest buzzwords in education circles, education conferences across the world right now? Everyone's talking about Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Twiddler, iDrew, quizzes. And what's the latest flavor of the nation right now in the education circles in India? Coding. Everyone's going crazy over coding. It's this new fad, like as if the next, if you learn how to code, you're going to become Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. Well, it's not really that accurate, but coding has become this big new fad. Well, coding's been around since months or maybe years now. I mean, what are we talking about in the last 2 or 3 months? Just because of a massive marketing advertising budget of a big company, coding has become the big thing. So there are so many schools and government bodies also overzealously chasing technology in education without understanding where the focus should lie. In today's parlance, today's kids would call it that so many are doing it out of FOMO. Do you know what FOMO means? FOMO is fear of missing out, in case you're not very in with the lingo of the kids these days, of the millennials. FOMO is fear of missing out. So many schools and government bodies are getting into technology purely out of FOMO, that they are doing it. How can I not be doing it? So Finland, known to be one of the top performing education systems of the world, obviously it ranks very high on the PISA rankings, TIMSS rankings, all of those. It has a far more pragmatic approach to edtech. I've studied the Finnish system of education for years and years, sat inside classrooms, met with the National Ministry of Education, gone to the B.Ed courses and spoken to people out there. I was speaking to this one principal in a city of Jyväskylä in central Finland. And I said, how come y'all in Finland don't use as much of technology in education as, say, the rest of your European counterparts? And he said, Raghav, why should I show my children the different kind of berries on a screen when I can just go outside and show them in real life? Now, while it was a limited point, his message was loud and clear. Yet, today we are in a situation where we can't take them outside and show them in real life. But yet, we have to understand that so many are obsessively running behind this technology bandwagon just for tech's sake, without even understanding what is its true purpose and what is required to bring out its optimal usage to the students. In this day and age, do you know what nomophobia is? Nomophobia is no mobile phobia. It's a condition that you have, when you don't have your mobile around you, and you get anxiety, tension, stress, or even if, say, you put your phone to charge at night and you forgot to put the switch on, and in the morning you wake up and it's 2% battery. Oh my God, my day is going to go badly. I don't have battery on my phone. You, my friend, might have nomophobia. So in this day and age where nomophobia has become a condition and children's virtual worlds are overshadowing their real worlds, we need to ensure the balanced usage of the rising technology in education, not losing focus of its true underlying purpose, that of adding value to the children. If you're an educator, two most fundamental questions you have to answer. One, is the lesson delivery improving? Is my learning outcome being enhanced of the students? If the answer is yes to both, then go ahead and invest in that technology, and not just for the sake of FOMO. Otherwise, you see across the world, so many pieces of, these wonderful technology becoming fancy pieces of technology, becoming fancy pieces of furniture gathering dust. I'll tell you a little example. I was visiting a school in Essex, outside of London, about 10 years ago. And they had this new millennial classroom. They spent, I don't know, like £1 million or some crazy amount to build that one classroom. And it was this huge dome structure, and you press a button and panels would open, and it was next level. It was called the Millennium Classroom. And it was so advanced. So I spoke to the teachers there and I said, you must be really proud to have such a great classroom. And they're like, yeah, initially we were proud because, everyone came and asked us, oh, wow, you have such a great classroom. And the minister came and cut the ribbon and you got good media coverage and all of that. But now we're not so excited about it. I'm like, why are you not excited about it anymore? Like, because it's become a white elephant for us. We don't necessarily understand how to use it. Yes, we got a training in the beginning when they installed it, but after that, there's no follow-up training. The bandwidth is not supportive. The maintenance cannot be done by a regular person. It's not like we can call a regular technician and make him repair these things. It's just way too advanced. So it's become a white elephant for us. So there's no point in doing these things for the wrong reasons. You have to understand that learning, the highest form of learning, is heutagogy or heuristic learning. Heuristic learning is self-directed, self-owned, self-led learning, where the children are the owners of their learning. I've sat inside BLE classes and have had teachers come and tell me, sir, No, ours is very interactive. We allow the children to answer or to type in their answers and responses. That's good, it's interactive, but that's not heuristic learning. That is not self-directed, self-led learning. So to teachers who think that they're great teachers, I'm sorry. Your quality of teaching is as good as the quality of learning that happens inside you. So instead of saying I'm a great teacher, you should say I should be able to connect to the last student in my class and they are learning well. That's what matters, not the quality of how what comes out of your mouth, but what gets absorbed in the brain of the child that you are going to be speaking to. So you must have a follow through plan with technology in education, and you have to have buy-in into the vision of your plan. There has to be ownership. All your stakeholders, especially teachers. There's no point from the top down, a principal or an IT department or the management of the school just gives this technology. There has to be buy-in, ownership to the vision of that plan, of how they're going to use it. Now, to the educators watching here, very fundamental question I want to ask you. What is education? Or what is the purpose of education? In one most fundamental, simple, basic sense, what is the purpose of education? In one word, the purpose of education is simply learning. That's all it is. Why do parents send their children to schools? So that they can maximize their inherent potential, excel at what they're best in. So, what is the role of the educator then in the 21st century? Is it just one to impart knowledge? No, not really. The role of the educator now has moved from that sage on the stage. You remember when we were in schools, we'd have a teacher standing on stage and she'd blurt out these pearls of wisdom and we would go and catch them. Today's kids don't need that. The role of the educator in the 21st century has moved from that sage on the stage to a guide on the side, from being that gatekeeper, security guard of knowledge, to being a facilitator of learning. The role of the educator is purely to be a coach, a mentor, and a facilitator of learning. That's all. Because with automation technology and now the industrial revolution 4.0, we don't need our children to be second class robots. We need them to be first class humans. Now, what are the traits that are inherent to humans which no technology can replace or do a better job of? Technology, we know, can easily deliver content, but it's only a human teacher that can inspire, encourage, and spark that imagination, inquiry, and curiosity inside the child's brain. Now, what is the most favorite thing of educators across Asia, not even India, all across Asia? What are we all chasing? Especially come Jan, Feb, March, all educators are chasing marks, tests, scores. Now, what are tests? Tests are meant to be diagnostic. They are meant to diagnose the strengths and the weaknesses of the child so the teacher can adjust her lesson delivery accordingly. That's all what tests are meant to be. Yet tests in our country have become a measure to put a label on a student's forehead. So you got 97, oh, genius. 80, good. 40, duffer or unintelligent or stupid. Who gives you the right to use these kind of terms for students? And what are these tests measuring for the largest part? The ability of the child to memorize and regurgitate better. In today's world, children already have Google on their fingertips, and with that, access to limitless information. So let's say you got 98 and you memorized really well. I'd say you can memorize as much as an encyclopedia. Well, the next kid has Google on his fingertips already. And whatever you memorize, you're not going to know more than Google. So today's kids already have Google on their fingertips, but by the time they grow up, they will be auto-prompted with artificial intelligence and other technologies with the information that they need to complete their next task. And yet here, we are running behind memorization and regurgitation. In the 21st century, the world economy will not reward you for how much you know, but for what you can do with what you know. Not for the amount of knowledge that you have, but for how you apply the knowledge that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raghav, for putting in your perspective, quite different from what we hear nowadays, where technology is, as you said, that coding has become the new must have for every kid, and we see so many ads and everything. But definitely, there are advantages to it as well. But I have a question for you. You said that everyone is running after tech government education institutes, and but we really need to focus on what really is required. So what according to you is the fine balance? I mean, obviously, as you said, that from students who are learning technology today will not be actually working on the same technology when they get employed. So, but they need to be in the loop of the technology. So, where is that fine balance of digital, as you said, you find?
So the point is that we don't know what problems that the children are going to face. We have to equip them with the life skills that they will be required to tackle life's challenges head on. So instead of us trying, what's happening right now in the education system is we try to prepare them for their life 20, 30, 40 years from now, when we don't know what the next 5 years are going to look like. The problem with that is inherent to you are setting up the child to solve problem A or B. That's not the idea. We want to get the child to know how to solve problems, whatever those problems are. So life skills are far more important. Like I said, the ability to be agile, flexible, adaptable, the ability to cope with limited resources like what is happening right now, or resilience. These are skills that we need to develop in children. So when it comes to technology, yes, of course, they should be conversant and proficient in technology right now. And I don't have anything against coding, but what I have against is the belief that is being put into people's minds that if you become a coder, you can become the next Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. That's not what it is. Coding is good if you think your child has a good aptitude for it and has a good desire to do it. Definitely do it. But don't be fooled by smart advertising that makes you believe that if you do coding, that's going to be your passport to success. So that is your passport to becoming Sundar Pichai. It's not. So focus more on life skills is what I would talk about.
We're short of time, but I'll also ask one question. Since you have schools, across the country, and right now all students are at home, and teachers are trying very hard, who have possibly never used technology to teach. Their basic USP was to stand in front of the students and talk to them in a very personal way. And I see teachers right now screaming on screens to get students to switch on their videos, or half the time is gone that way. So, what has been your experience, in your, what have you seen, and what do you think is the solution?
Absolutely. And I must, first of all, salute all the teachers out there. To me, you all are all COVID warriors as well. It's been a very difficult time for all of you. I know you all have gone through um, an Agni Pariksha, if I may call it that, because um, going overnight or in a week's time, going online and then having 5 people in the house from each house sitting and looking at what you're doing and questioning things and all that. But you'll have shown how you can rise up to the occasion when the time mattered. Yes, of course, there were teething issues. Yes, people stubbed their toes, but now they've learned. I mean, they've unearthed new facets of pedagogy that we did not know existed. Even inside teachers themselves, they're able to handle technology the way that they couldn't before. We've had teachers who were very weak in technology, elderly 55, 57-year-old teachers, and technology didn't come to them, but right now they are holding the best online classes. So the sky is the limit. I mean, if teachers continue to be passionate towards what they believe in and loving their children, I'm sure that nothing can stop us. No pandemic, no issues between schools and parents, none of that can come in between ensuring that the child progresses and he reaches his or her maximum potential and inherent potential, essentially.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you, Raghav, so much for joining us today, and it was
Thank you.
wonderful to listen to your point of view, and I'm sure that the attendees have also gained from it. Looking forward to hear from you again. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Saurabh. My pleasure. Thank you.